I don't know if I can do that.
Ooh, I like that. Let's go right into it. Division I Rejects, welcome back. We've got two great guests for you today. First, we'll be joined by University of Ohio quarterback C.J. Harris, who we all played against in high school. So I loved that conversation with C.J. I was really excited about that. And later, we will be joined by, Demarcus Governor, a defensive back heading to Northern Iowa from Central Michigan University.
And from Florida. He's kind of been around the country.
And from Florida. Yeah. Seriously, dude. Coming from Florida to CMU. Now he's going
to transfer to USC for his last year.
But we've got a lot of MAC coverage in today, so a lot of talk about the Mid-American Conference. But after we talk to CJ here in a couple minutes, we will go over an overview of the NFL Super Wildcard Weekend, where we got our fair share of some solid NFL football before heading into this divisional round. And, really, we don't get much more football, so we have to appreciate what we get here this next couple weeks now with the college football season over. And that brings me to the recap of the College Football National Championship. Alabama with a huge win over Ohio State, kind of what we were expecting, I would assume, right? I mean, we were kind of you weren't here. Hunter said that the Clemson-Ohio State game was going to be a turn-off by halftime for Clemson.
In favor of Clemson.
Yeah. That's what I was expecting, too.
Old takes exposed. But, that'll be after we talk to DeMarcus later on. But you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast, with the video version available on YouTube. The last video version of the podcast will be later this week. So take advantage of it while you can. When I get back up to school, it's going to be audio only. But what I wanted to do is a little bit of a new segment here, Tweet of the Week. We're all going to find a tweet that has some type of relevance or usually humor to go with our topics for the first episode of each week. So who would like to start us off here? Blaze, you want to give it a go?
Starting right now? Okay.
Yeah, Blaze, you want to give it a
go? I'll go.
Please do. And then you'll just send me the picture of the tweet. I'll throw it up there on the video version of the podcast on YouTube.
All right. So this tweet, it kind of just made me think a little bit.
Okay.
It's from Lee Taylor. He said, things I noticed about Bama tonight. 1, no white shirts hanging out under jerseys.
Yeah.
2, receivers and running backs always find an official to give the ball to. 3, no palms up when the play doesn't go their way.
Yep.
And 4, no talking after making the catch, long run, or good defensive play. And then #culture, #class. That just made me think, because I didn't you don't really notice that during the game, right?
Well, those aren't typically things you watch for. That's like a coach. Like a high school coach is going to look at that and then show his team later, be like, you want to be like Alabama?
Right.
Do this.
Yeah, but
he's got a point.
After I read that, I was like, I think back and I'm like, right, he's right. That all that stuff is true. And that just made me think about how good of a coach Coach Saban is and stuff like that, and how he gets them prepared to play every week.
He does. And did you see that Bill O'Brien is now the target for the new OC spot?
He
really?
Signed?
Yeah, he got it.
As of when?
Yesterday I saw it.
No.
Talking about at Alabama?
Look it up.
Alabama, yeah.
Wow.
No, I don't know. I was just watching on SportsCenter earlier today.
They said it's pretty much him.
Well, he hasn't actually signed yet.
He's about to or something.
Okay, so he has not actually signed. I was going to say, I think I would have seen that. But, Bill O'Brien is like the target now as a Sark.
Right.
Everyone's Sarkeesian. It's not that long of a name. Sark. I think it's funny, though. I had one from my guy, World of Isaac, who is like big-time Detroit sports personality on Twitter.
Yeah.
And he tweeted out, big Michigan State fan too, but he was not in favor of Michigan State with this one. He said, I watched Michigan State play football this year, and these two teams are playing an entirely different sport.
I saw that tweet too, actually.
Did you?
I was a little confused.
Were you?
But I understood it.
Yeah. I just, the discrepancy of the level of play between those two teams, especially when Michigan State tried to figure out, who their quarterback was with Rocky, and then Thorne came in. But I thought that was funny because he's the most self-aware Detroit sports fan, and Michigan State and all that. I don't know. I love it. So I thought that was great. Drew, got it? Something?
Yeah, I have so many things, but I'm just gonna go with one.
So many.
Just based off, we have our old friend of the show, not really, Eric Ebron. Obviously,
more like enemy of the show.
Yeah, and enemy of World Isaac.
Yes. Enemy of Detroit.
Yeah, World of Isaac hates him too.
He was at it again on November 29th, 2020, when LeBron said, 8-3, keep going, #Browns. And he said, where are they going, bro? They're going to the divisional round. You are going to Cabo or wherever you want to go. As you
probably
are
going to
not.
The Jugs machine.
Yep. Should be going to the Jugs machine. He won't be going there, I would assume, though.
That's good.
But yes, so Eric Ebron.
Talk about old takes exposed.
Yeah, that was actually freezing cold takes.
Yeah, there you go.
And Jarvis Landry actually tweeted at him and said, we're about to see. when he said so.
Wow. Yep. Or how about before we get into this conversation with CJ, how about Chase Claypool?
Like I said, there was many things I could have gone with. Chase Claypool, bad loss, but the Browns are going to get clapped next week, so all good. And Adrian Claiborne goes, just go on vacation already, young fella. So
I love it. I love it. So I'm excited to do that every week. I think it just adds a little bit.
Though,
go ahead.
This is a big week for us.
Yeah.
The guy, I've sent you and Hunter this before.
Yes. What is the account name? I forget. His name's
Sir Yacht, I think.
Sir Yacht.
He's a big Browns fan.
Wow.
He does it.
I follow that guy.
Yeah, he's awesome. But a year ago today,
rage mode in his car.
Yeah, a year ago today, the Browns hired Stefanski, and he lost his mind, saying it was the same old Browns, pretty much. Like, way to go! Next year we're gonna be looking for another head coach. Blah blah blah. And today he goes, I should never judge another thing that Kevin Stefanski does again. He goes, I feel like I should send him a gift basket.
Hey, and now he gets to coach in the divisional round, which is so awesome for him to bring this team on this journey. But looking forward to that. Like I said, every week now, tweet of the week. Look out for that.
Or the Darth Vader Pittsburgh Steelers helmet.
Finally put him loaded today.
Yeah, it was crazy. I'm going through my likes.
Tweet of the week.
That's awesome.
Tweets.
Tweet, not tweets. I love it. But let's get right into this conversation with quarterback from the University of Ohio, CJ Harris. Our first guest on today's episode is a dual threat quarterback at the University of Ohio, a guy that we all had the chance to compete against at the high school level while he was at powerhouse West Bloomfield High School. It's CJ Harris. What's going on, CJ? How are you?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Awesome, man. Doing awesome. Blaze, Drew, I'm sure between the three of us, we're all pretty excited to get CJ on here.
Yeah.
Yep. How you doing?
Some battles against this guy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I want to talk about you at Ohio here. You guys only got 3 games in this year. So kind of like a build-up for this season that really just didn't really amount to too much for you guys. But I will say, started off with a 3-point loss, Central Michigan. Then you go and win at home against Akron and Bowling Green. The next 2 against Kent State and Buffalo get canceled. I'm assuming that was because of COVID. Why couldn't you guys get those games in?
Yeah, we just had some issues with COVID and we also had some injuries on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
Just, with also going on with COVID, we just didn't have the players to really play any of these games. So it just, COVID really kind of messed us up there. Really didn't give us a chance to really become, a full team.
Yeah. What was the testing protocol like for you guys? I know for us at Northern, it was like, I think 30% of our team got like a surveillance test every week. Now we'll kind of change as far as like what the mandates are from Whitner here in the next couple of weeks. But what were the protocols like for you guys in that season?
Yeah, compared to you all, was way heavier. We was probably getting tested for COVID at least 4 times a week.
Holy shit!
Yeah, actually 4 times a week. Yeah.
Dude, and that's was that like the nasal swab like every time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the nose swab every time. So
you just like get used to it at some point or what? Oh, sorry. You get used to it at some point?
After like the 2nd week, it was just like, all right, well, I know I got to go get COVID tested. So.
Jesus, dude. That was like, we only had a percentage of our team that would get tested. And then like, I remember when the names would come out, that would be like,
like that.
Yeah.
I got it. I had to get tested.
Yeah, boys, I got picked this week. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I had to get tested. And the first time I got it, that thing went up my nose and I was like about ready to cry. She touched something
Some
up there.
Some big boy tears coming out. That's awesome. But, when it was announced that Buffalo game was canceled, that was the second one that was canceled. Jarrett Patterson, who I'm sure you're familiar with, like we said, tweeted out, "Y'all got lucky." I mean, he was putting up video game numbers. But what was it like to see a guy in your conference put up the numbers like that? And even, he got some Heisman attention.
Yeah, it was huge. It's huge for the conference, because the MAC, we're a Division I school, but we're still mid-major. So we're not getting a whole bunch of attention as some of the bigger schools like Ohio State and Alabama, stuff like that. But for a guy like Jared to go out there and put up those stats, put up those numbers, and really just show that like there's good players here in the MAC and that people need to pay attention. It was cool. It was cool to see.
That was awesome. I think it was like 8 touchdowns in the game. Was that the record?
Yeah, he put up 8 touchdowns against Kent. Yeah.
At some point, hey, we might have saw something similar from Devontae Smith if he doesn't hurt his hand there the other night. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh. Unstoppable.
Dude.
Nobody stopping.
And I'm looking it up, and I'm like, not to get too off topic, but I'm looking it up, and I was texting Blaze. I was like, dude is 174 pounds. What?
Yeah, Slim Reaper.
He's built like a stick, but he get open.
I like the comparisons with like him and then Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry, like Heisman's come in all sizes. And then there's Ingram next to the two of them too, all like 5 whatever of him. But that was an awesome game. But like I said in our introduction here, you're a dual threat guy that has a very multi-dimensional game at the high school level that was put on a show every week, every Friday. But that'll continue on to the college scene, I'm sure. But how do they plan to utilize that at Ohio? I'm not really familiar with your guys' like style of offense. What do you run up there or down there? Excuse me.
Kind of run some of a spread option. We go ahead and we spread it out a little bit, but at the same time, we really installed the option into our playbook. Something that we use a lot, and then we go ahead and we use the option to use fakes and then other ways to really kind of manipulate the defense into doing what we want. So.
That's nice, yeah. And we saw in that Ohio State game, I mean, Justin Fields, as banged up as he was with that huge hit to the ribs there in that semifinal game. For Trey Sermon to go down on that on his first carry, second play, yeah. So and for him to go down, they were already saying coming into that night, like Sermon was going to have to take the bulk of that. They did a lot of that read option type things, and then Justin Fields, who's great with his feet, getting out and making plays, a lot of that responsibility was going to fall on Sermon. So when he went out, I'm not going to say I knew it was downhill, but it was.
Well, Master Teague isn't
Master Teague is not a slouch, but it's definitely a little bit of a drop off there, especially after that Big Ten championship game for Sermon. But what's your running back stable like at Ohio? You got some studs back there or what?
Oh yeah, we got some studs for sure. Demontre Tuggle, I don't know if he was for sure, but I know he's for sure an all-Macker.
Okay.
And we even got some guys who didn't even get the ball like that because we only played 3 games. We didn't get the ball like that, but they're also good. O'Shawn and Julian. There's some other dudes on there that just didn't get a chance to showcase their talents. But we got a lot of backs, a lot of good backs.
Good stuff. That's good to hear.
Yeah, CJ. So before we get going and talking about like West Bloomfield a little bit, you talked about how there's some great players in the MAC, and there's Antonio Brown came out of the MAC, Kareem Hunt,
Khalil Mack, right?
Khalil Mack, JJ Watt started out in the MAC. You guys any got like some dogs that might be going to the draft anytime soon?
Yeah, we got some dudes in the MAC. I'm trying to really think about it because it's been a while since I've seen some MAC guys play, but I for sure seen some good talent in the MAC. We got some at Ohio, and there's some other guys all around the MAC. I'm trying to think of somebody.
Yeah, someone like from Ohio or something.
That whole Buffalo team.
The whole team.
Got a lot of good guys.
They're gonna be LSU. Everybody getting drafted.
Yeah, they got a lot of draft prospects on that team.
Awesome.
But yeah.
That's good to hear. And like you said, I forget the term you used, but like the non-Power 5 teams, like the Group of 5, the mid. Yeah, there you go.
Group of 5 teams.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's awesome that guys like that, not that they're not on the map, but kind of put them on a little bit of bigger map.
Yeah, you see them fall in the later rounds in their steals.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. Because kind of slept down because of the competition they play or whatever, which was, I'm assuming, the primary reason that Patterson didn't get as much Heisman love as some. Which there were so many worthy like contenders this year and different candidates. But I did want to talk about your high school team. Let's talk about West Bloomfield a little bit. All high school teams go 55 days without playing any type of football due to the shutdown. And the Lakers picked up right where they left off and whooped a Romeo team that was like super hot this year. They beat a great Stony Creek team. Remember we played that Stony Creek team last year, Blaze. And along with that, Donovan Edwards, I don't know if it's 100% true, but I did read this somewhere, is back to play throughout the playoffs, which is huge news for that West Bloomfield team. He is by far the best athlete that I've had the chance to play against. Is this the year that Coach Bellamy finally brings home that championship?
I think they have the chance. They for sure have the ability with the coaches they have and the players that they have. If they can get over the hump of Belleville, they for sure have the chance, I feel like, to go ahead and finally go ahead and get that ring that Coach Bell and the coaching staff really deserve.
Yeah, and they have, obviously, they've got that talent come in every single year, but it just seems like, I don't know what it is you talk about at that hump. Like, what do they need to do to get over that last little stretch and finally just, put it all together for that complete season?
Have confidence in the players. Have confidence in the players that they call. I feel like I wouldn't say that they haven't been confident in years before, but I feel like just going ahead and having that confidence can just really, keep the team up, have everybody up. Everybody got to stay up. Because a lot of times, especially when I was there, we kind of got down ourselves early, and, we never got back up. So if, the team is able to go ahead and, keep the head up high no matter what adversity comes up, I feel like they'll be good. They'll be fun.
That's good to hear. And I will tell you, maybe it'll make you feel a little bit better. We were up on you guys, 14-3. Was that halftime, something, second quarter? And then, Trey Mosley decided that he didn't want to lose that game, so he scored 3 touchdowns in a row, and then that was all she wrote for the Dragons. But
junior year, we had a competitive game against West Bloomfield, and then Trey Mosley scored.
I'm saying last year, CJ wouldn't have been there, but last year we go 4 overtimes, and then,
Don't even bring it up.
Yeah, we're not even going to talk about it. But I'm telling you, that was my favorite game every year because we get to play basically, for a guy like me who really wasn't on the map until my senior year, like at all in terms of recruiting, to be able to go and play and compete against guys who are going to, Power 5 conferences or some other levels of Division 1 or even in the GLIAC, like all these guys who are going to big name schools, going out and competing and potentially did not get a win, but trying to go out and beat these guys, we should have, but that was always awesome. I know we always talk about how awesome it was to see the guys that we play go succeed at the next level. Hopefully, obviously you're going to be watching some guys on Saturdays, but hopefully on Sundays in the future, years down the road. What is that experience like for you, and how is it maybe a little bit different that you're competing right up there with most of those guys, at the D1 level in the MAC?
It's always been a dream since I was a kid, because ever since I was a kid, I had the NCAA football games.
Yeah.
That was just a dream of, playing Road to Glory and saying, man, I hope, one day I can be up on here, like on a game or whatever. Sadly, they ain't come out with no more. But
yeah, you got to end with the historic Denard Robinson cover right there.
Yeah. But still being a college athlete, that was just a dream I always had growing up. And then for me to go ahead and achieve that dream, that just tells me that I can end up making the next dream, make it to the NFL, hopefully. So, it was just a dream come true, something to be happy about.
Totally. That's awesome.
Yeah, CJ. I'm at Northwood with Ethan Bunch. I'm sure you know who Ethan is. So we were watching the Michigan-Minnesota game, and then all of a sudden we see Makari out there, and we're like, whoa, that's kind of cool, So, yeah, small world like that, I guess,
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, when you can sit down on your couch, and just watch these dudes go and ball out, like true freshmen. And then, I don't know, did Cornell get any time this year? I didn't hear. Yeah, I'm not sure. But, between those guys, there's so many other dudes that get that. But I saw a tweet the other day, stick on this NCAA for a second. It was earlier today, actually. It was someone said, Nick Saban's to the point where, you're so successful in NCAA, you just go and restart somewhere small like Wyoming to see if you still got it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That would be awesome. But how much of the wild card games do you catch in the NFL this weekend?
Yeah, I think I saw almost all of them. I didn't watch the whole Saints Bears one, but I saw most of them.
I don't think you were really missing too much there. They did score a last-minute touchdown, basically, to Jimmy Graham.
They walked off.
Didn't even kick the extra point. They literally walked off the field. So I know some bettors were mad because they didn't, something didn't cover. Some bet did not hit. But
man.
If there was, I'm assuming, I think I kind of know where this is going, but any games you were surprised by a little bit in that Super Wildcard weekend?
Probably the Ravens and the Titans.
Okay.
The Ravens defense really shocked me. I was expecting Derrick Henry to not have a crazy game.
But not have 40 yards. Yeah.
Yeah. So for that to happen, that shocked me for sure.
I know, and that was the whole thing with the logo stomping afterwards, and then earlier in the year when Harbaugh comes out and those guys are
Vrabel's chawing at him.
Yeah, and then first of all, I want to get this out of the way. If Vrabel and Harbaugh ever fought, don't even try.
Not even close.
I would take every penny that I have and put it on Vrabel. I mean, dude played linebacker in the league. Come on.
And Harbaughs are just whiners.
Hey, whiners that get paid apparently because his brother just got an extension. What about Drew's huge Browns fan here? Excuse me. How about that Browns Steelers game? What'd you think of that?
Oh, I couldn't believe they got off like that.
Right.
Started off the game 21-0.
28 in the first quarter.
28, yeah. Yeah, because, going to school down in Ohio, they love some Cleveland Browns. So
of course.
My phone was blowing up all night.
Dude, I text Drew. I was like, I'm coming to pick you up right now. We went to a Cleveland game earlier in the year, that Monday Night Football game, Cleveland versus Baltimore, where Lamar Jackson was in and out. Trace McSorley was the savior. Not really, but we went to that game, and that game was nuts, even with limited fans. I was like, we need to go down to Cleveland now and see what that atmosphere would be like.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I got a couple of guys in Ohio too, so they were texting me and they were like, "Let's go! You see the Browns going?" And I put my phone away and didn't turn my phone on until halftime because I was like, "I'm not listening to any of the BS from all my friends right now."
I tried FaceTiming you and it went
my grandpa called me 3 times. No,
ridiculous, dude. That's dedication though. Well, CJ, that's all I've got for you today, my man. I appreciate you coming on.
Man, I appreciate y'all having me, man.
Of course, brother. Well, you have a good one. I'm sure I'll talk to you soon.
All right, you too.
All right, see you, buddy. Great conversation with our guy, CJ.
Yeah, like I said,
wonderful.
Yeah, it was really cool to go toe. We went toe to toe with them. My junior year, senior year, I'm pretty sure they beat us like 50-4. Yeah. So
dude, what was the score our senior year? I think it was like 55,
59-52.
There you go.
Was it really?
4 overtimes.
You guys scored 52.
Okay,
50
4
burgers,
overtimes.
2 drop or 2 50
we
burgers.
4
got
overtimes.
stopped on the 1 yard line.
Yep,
ridiculous.
Was it Drew?
Yeah.
That
bad
game was
play call.
Bro, like when you
really
get that far in the
call.
game, you were there, right?
No, I was
the second day.
Trey Townsend was actually there, and he was FaceTiming me, and I was watching it on my couch.
But dude, like I remember, I don't know how you felt, but like 4 overtimes in that game, playing against those guys. At some point, you're like, is this game gonna be? Oh, I don't know. It kind of lost the hype. I feel like after the game, it just kind of lost.
That's
the hype.
why you lost, Scott. Get a load of this guy.
It's like, especially after we
saying,
scored, and then we have to go back on offense, and I'm like, how many times do we have to do this?
I know. Like when I'm telling you, dude, when you get to the 4th overtime, it just kind of lost. Whatever. It didn't feel like a. I'm usually devastated after a loss.
And the big thing is we played the night before.
That was probably part of it.
And played like a game
and we were
half.
dominating, and then there's lightning, and then and we just lost it.
In OJW, we went into 5 overtime, so I know how you feel.
Do you?
Yeah.
Probably just like it was yesterday.
Yeah, it was bigger
stakes,
bigger
probably.
stadium, whatever. We were playing in the Superdome.
Super. No, were you actually?
Yep,
wow.
for sure.
Were you playing in the Superdome?
Yeah.
No, you weren't.
But
let's talk about
the Saints this weekend
and the Bears.
Good try there. Good try. Let's talk about the NFL and the wildcard weekend that did not disappoint. Starting with Saturday's games, the NFL. Let's start off with the first one. Bills win a close one at home over the Colts, 27-24. This game, like, if this is going to be wildcard weekend, like, I'm all in. Like, this was the first game. Right. Yeah, this was the first game on, and the Bills get their first playoff win in almost 25 years, even though it looked like at times the Colts were dominating the game physically between the tackles. I thought so. I mean, you could disagree.
No, in the first half.
Oh, I see.
Because I believe they were. I believe that they were.
That's what I'm saying. I thought you'd be in favor of that with DeForest Buckner in there in the middle of the line, but barely any rushing attack for Buffalo. Josh Allen was the leading rusher with 11 carries for 54 yards. You said this going in. I'll give you the credit, and I agreed with you. But between Singletary and Moss, they combined for only 42 yards on the day. Not really surprised.
Moss is out for the year. He tore his ACL or something.
Did he really?
His knee.
Wow. I did not see that.
Neither did I.
Yeah.
Man.
You guys got to watch NFL Network. That line.
What a stupid ligament. Yeah, the line. Drew's got his eyes glued.
Doesn't even watch the show. He watches the line.
What we see?
I got that Doug Peterson breaking news.
What do we see in that? What do we see in that? That Bills Colts game.
I think a lot of people they're kind of being too harsh on the Bills, because everybody's like, "Oh, can the Bills take down the Chiefs?" And then
the Colts were playing great football.
You're right.
I mean,
they're like,
thought
the Bills played a crappy game.
They're a solid all-around
Bills
team.
won't need to take.
You got to
the
give
Chiefs.
them some slack.
Wow.
Right? Like,
I'm joking.
They haven't won a playoff game in 25 years.
I was going to say,
hurt my hand.
as excited as people are about Cleveland's win, now granted, very different game. The Cleveland-Pittsburgh game, we'll talk about it a little bit later.
More of a rivalry.
Exactly, and more of a blowout, I was saying more so. But the Bills fans are just as, I don't think people are giving them that much credit. Like, this is their first playoff win.
Saturday, but I feel like everyone was like, "Oh, like the Bills, like that's great."
Maybe because more people were expecting them to win. Is that why?
I think that's what it was.
More of an upset for Cleveland.
2 seed, like come on.
Agreed. But still, Colts are playing great football. And it was a much better offensive game than the game that followed. We'll talk about that in a second. But both QBs throwing for over 300 yards. Was that Phillip Rivers' last game? Is he going to coach high school football?
I don't think so anymore.
You don't think so anymore?
After the firing of Doug Peterson, that I don't think Carson Wentz is going to get traded now, which sucks because what I really think should happen is whoever gets the Lions job should be like, hey, how much for Jalen? That's what I really think they should do.
Really?
But anyway,
imagine?
Phillip Rivers, I think he'll stay one more year, and then the Colts will maybe draft maybe draft a Zach
I don't
Wilson.
think he might stay in the NFL, but probably not on the Colts.
So what I was thinking,
Frank Wright said he wants him back.
Really?
Yeah,
Did he really?
That's another reason why.
That's a D1 rejects insider right there.
Frank Reich, former Bills
player.
Exactly. So that must have been a very emotional game for him. But I will say, what kind of situation does that put the guy who's coaching at that high school right now? He's been coaching there for a while, pretty much under the pretense of like, you can coach here until Phillip Rivers is done. So now he's like, I got another year. Wasn't really expecting this, but I hinted at it. That was a much better offensive game than the one that followed. The Rams, and this is a great stat that I saw. They played the Seahawks. They're now 37-0 after leading at halftime with a 30-20 win over the Seahawks, coming right after a loss to Seattle 2 weeks ago. That actually helped Seattle clinch, or that was the game that clinched them the NFC West, right? So if Wilson, who had a terrible day, like the worst of the year, I would assume, right?
Oh yeah, his
based on stats.
What a fall off on the season for him.
Let Russ cook, MVP. And if Wilson did not have that 50-yard touchdown to Metcalf, he would have finished with 120 yards passing on the day. He had a completion percentage of 40%, and he went 11 for 27. Man.
That's why they hired Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah. I was just going to say.
The Rams defense,
I
obviously.
love DK Metcalf, and I think DK Metcalf's going to be a great player.
And he had a great day, over 100 yards.
But Jalen Ramsey is the best corner in the league. It's not even close, in my opinion. He shut down D-Hop twice. He shut down DK 3 times.
Twice. He did not shut down DK
when DK
weekend.
was guarding him, or when he was guarding DK, he had 40 yards.
That long touchdown,
3 targets,
he was getting covered by someone else.
3 receptions, 11 targets, 40 yards.
11 targets?
Yeah, so he shut him down.
Oh, yeah, that definitely, if that's the stat.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know that. He was getting covered by somebody else.
Yeah, it was, and it was kind of a scramble drill.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah.
It was, like you said, it was all DK on that. Like, Russ
great
put the
throw,
ball
though.
in the great throw. He put in a great spot for him. But DK, seeing that, without that play, that game is so different. You know what I mean? There were still stakes going into the late stages of that game. But DK, this is some backyard football stuff. Like, you saw Russ needed help. He turns the corner and has it field. But let's talk about that Rams defense. They stepped up even without Aaron Donald for most of the second half. He had that weird landing where he landed on like Russ's ankle or something in like his midsection right here, his ribs or some area. And I thought he just got the breath knocked out of him.
Rib cartilage or
Yeah,
something
exactly.
like that.
I thought he got the breath knocked out of him. I thought, okay, Aaron's going to be back out here, like tough some bitch. Like he's going to be on the field. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then I see him cheering his boys on the sideline. I'm like, what the hell is Aaron doing on the sideline? But they stepped up. Jalen Ramsey, I did not realize.
The stat
Oh, there you go.
right there.
3 games, 4 receptions, 44 yards. Wow. Yeah, so definitely shut down. There you go.
3 games.
That's unreal. But Jalen Ramsey steps up. That Rams defense steps up, and they get a huge win.
Yeah.
So I thought that was – anything else keys from that game?
Jared Goff.
Jared Goff. There you go.
Rams starter gets hurt.
His thumb
In comes Jared Goff.
Wolford?
Yeah.
Wolford?
In comes Jared Goff.
Was
with
that
a
one of the
broken
– that was a
thumb.
first possession, right? And he went to the hospital, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did neck issues or something.
Yeah, hit in the head, but
yeah,
Jamal
he got
Adams.
rocked.
Jamal Adams.
Oh, by the way, guess J.J. Watt has more interceptions than Jamal Adams.
Do you want to hear something funny too? Jared Goff's post-game press conference. He was like, "Yeah, they were lighting up the cigars, saying that they beat us."
Dude, that was hilarious.
the divisional
and he
championship.
mocked them.
I can't get over how he was holding the cigar backwards.
Yeah,
No way.
he was. He lit it on the wrong side, and Jared Goff was like,
This guy who hasn't won a
Jared
lot.
Goff goes, "You could take those cigars to Cabo," or like something like that. And Jalen Ramsey said, walking off, "You can take the T-shirt and hat to Cabo."
That's what. Yeah, I
That's
remember
what it
seeing
was.
that. That's
Jalen
awesome.
Ramsey's
Did not realize he was
A-plus
holding it the
corner.
wrong way.
Jalen Ramsey's an A+ corner, A+
Trash talker.
Trash talker.
Agreed.
That's good.
Dude can rile up anyone. That'd be so frustrating to play against.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the third game of Saturday's set of games here. The night game, Buccaneers. They have a couple scares against Washington, but Brady pulls out the dub, 31-23. The obvious story of the game was Washington quarterback Taylor Heineke throws for over 300 yards and had some great runs. Not even sneaky athletic. Like, dude was flying. We always talk about sneaky athletic quarterbacks on this show. Like, the dude was flying. Heineke was a backup quarterback in the XFL for the St. Louis Battlehawks. I know you're very familiar with behind Jordan Ta'amu, and he was really the 4th-string quarterback for Washington behind Smith, Haskins, and Allen, who have all started games earlier in this season.
Crazy in their playoff team.
Dude.
4 different QBs.
Crazy. A playoff team that almost got a win against Tom Brady in the Bucs. And at times it looked like they might have actually, come away with that game. But, Buccaneers were consistently good on the offensive side of the ball, and they get the win. So now
I hope so.
what?
They have every player in the
They
league.
do, dude. Imagine if they lost to that Washington team with a 4th-string quarterback, which even though he balled out, that would have been unreal for them.
Confirmed
Yeah,
now.
the quarterback balled out though.
He did.
Yeah.
He
I think
did
it's
ball out.
confirmed that every quarterback on their roster is better than Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah. He's so
Every
bad.
single one.
Booty Cheeks Haskins.
He's so bad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Does he find another home? Like, who picks up Haskins?
Yeah, we'll get into it later, and we've talked about it before. You and I have. Those Ohio State quarterbacks. If I'm an NFL GM, they scare me.
away.
They scare me.
Yeah, the team is just too good. You don't really know how good they actually are.
That's a great point. So that's kind of like we were talking about before the show with Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Like the system that he's in right now and how he's set up for success no matter what.
It's like you have NFL O-line, NFL receivers.
You have Najee Harris, who's 240 pounds and jumping 17 feet off the ground over defenders. 18
a
feet.
good point.
Yeah. But let's talk about Washington's secondary. They really struggled to contain.
Before you say it, you forgot a name.
What's that?
Antonio Brown, baby.
Antonio Brown did not have great stats on the day, I will say.
50 yards and a touchdown. What?
That's not. He had one play.
Yeah, but Mike
Was
Evans
it one 50-yard touchdown catch?
He had basically one play.
I'm going to check that.
Go ahead. But I had down written here, Evans and Godwin, big days, along with the tight end Cameron Brate. But they did get a good amount of pressure on Tom Brady. 3 sacks and a bunch of pressures, right? And that, for me, was the key heading into this game for Washington. If they wanted to come out with the win in this game, they needed to get pressure on Tom Brady because we talked about it last week. Tom Brady, out of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, has the highest deficit between his QBR when he's not under pressure and his QBR when he is under pressure. It drops drastically. What was the...
Yeah, he had 2 receptions, 50 yards.
Yeah, so, I guess, I mean...
He's still a big play threat.
Still a huge big play threat.
Leonard Fournette had a good game, too.
He did, but they have to honor Antonio Brown. I'm just saying he didn't exactly explode.
It's one of those things where Antonio Brown's not a number 3 receiver. On any other team, he'd be the 1.
That's a great point.
Right? On any other
They're
team,
so stacked, and they beat Washington, like just barely edge out Washington. I don't understand it.
Washington
their defense is good. And
yeah,
I honestly think about it.
Beat them by 8.
And everyone, I don't like the whole, wow, well, look who Tom Brady has. Tom Brady's 43. Your dad was putting stuff on the grill watching the game when he was 43. Tom Brady is 43 years old, and he's still playing professional football.
Still winning playoff
at
games.
A high level. He was
still
third
winning
in
playoff
passing.
games. Yeah.
Like,
he's beaten more teams in the playoffs than the second most playoff wins for a quarterback.
yeah, man, Montana's at 16. Tom Brady's beaten 17 different teams.
That's unreal, dude. That's unreal. And then I saw a tweet earlier. I mean, we already missed our tweet segment of the day or whatever, but I saw a tweet earlier that was like, this might be, well, not might, it has to be the biggest difference in quarterback, like, success between Heineke and Brady. Brady was thrown for, 50, 60,000 yards, and then Heineke was thrown for like 500 in his career. Mm-hmm. And, 800 now because he balled out. But just that difference in quarterback, and you really, not that I'd say you couldn't tell because everyone knows who Tom Brady is, but Heineke kept him in that game. So that was awesome. But let's transition over to Sunday's slate of games in the NFL. Lamar Jackson gets his first playoff win. And I would say silenced a lot of the doubters, a lot of the Lamar Jackson haters, right? Because that was the huge gripe after the running back thing was like, once he wins a playoff game, come talk to me. Well, he has. The Ravens take down the Titans, and they hold Derrick Henry to 40 yards in the day on 18 carries. That was the exclamation point for me in that Ravens
Their defense was, they were on it that day.
They dominated the line of scrimmage, I thought.
That's what scares me.
I think the rushing yards for each team, it was like 200 something to like 50.
Yeah. That's a great point. Because we know they love to keep it on the ground.
Yeah, I honestly, I would be more scared. Not saying like, not because it's just the Browns, but if I was the Browns, if I'm any team, the one team I didn't want to play, it was the Ravens.
Agreed. If you're the Browns,
they're just heating up. Not even just the Browns, but if like the Chiefs got them, I'd be like,
I see.
Because their defense starting to heat up.
The Titans last year almost?
I wouldn't say the Titans last year. I feel like the Browns are more built like the Titans last year.
The Titans were like a whoa team. The Ravens are like, oh, here they are.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Like,
about time.
This is what we expected. And I was shocked by that game. And as being a Lamar Jackson hater, I got to give him credit.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Good. I'm glad to hear it. I will say
Juju is now my least favorite player. He's second. No, probably third. Claypool's third. Claypool, I meant.
Jeez.
Wow.
That's not allowed.
Juju's
still number one. He holds the throne. Okay. But I wanted to say the Titans were putting together some great drives, big plays from A.J. Brown, a few other receivers. Tannehill only threw for 165 yards. I was very surprised by that because they did not find any little to no success.
That's like 210 yards total because 50 yards rushing pretty much. Like,
dude, how
do you expect to win that game?
I know.
Even though he didn't throw for that many yards, A.J. Brown was going off.
He was. That's what I'm saying. Like, I was very surprised by that number, 165, because A.J. Brown had some huge plays for them. He was one of the only reasons they were still in that game. Corey Davis was banged up, especially in that last possession where they're really trying to claw their way back into it.
The receiver
They had some receiver, I'd never even heard of him. Some like double last name.
Exactly. So like for them, Tannehill's he's a good quarterback. He's a solid quarterback. He's not going to particularly elevate the game of the receivers around him.
I don't know, Kobe.
He's not going to take it over.
I don't know, because if you look at Tannehill's stats when he took over the Titans versus when compared to Mahomes, they're identical. They really are.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I'm
but
saying.
He won the games.
I know.
Yeah, I'm saying, I find it a little hard to believe.
It's not his fault, I guess.
He went to the AFC Championship last year.
Good point.
So, I mean,
to get railed.
No, they were winning that game.
I know, I'm joking.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think Tannehill's
on the game losing interception, I guess you can call it.
Yeah.
And
if you go back, AJ Brown was wide.
No,
open.
he was, and he even went like
was
this.
he actually? I didn't see that.
It was 1-on-1 fade on the backside.
Shut up.
And the fact that the
would have been
receiver fell down, like
yeah,
that's not Tannehill's fault. Obviously,
oh no, I'm not trying to put the blame on that.
No, I'm just saying in general. Obviously, Tannehill looked at the film and was like, "Dude, I had a touchdown to AJ Brown."
That's gotta
There wasn't even like safety help.
No, it was man to
over
man.
there.
No,
they sent pressure and threw it down the seam, and Marcus Peters makes a good play.
Lamar, though, balled out, 179 yards through the air, 136 on the ground for 315 total, which included that 48-yard touchdown run in the second quarter.
Oh, sweet.
Top 10 on SportsCenter. That was, like, that's the it factor that guys like him have. There's no play call for that. Like, that's just some stuff that you just pull out. Yeah, it was just a regular drop back pass. If you are the Titans, sorry, his name escaped me there for a minute. If you're the Titans, in a situation like that, how do you not take a linebacker and just spy?
He did. They did. They had Kevin Byard, who's a top 10 safety in the league.
Where was he?
Completely whiffed.
Oh my gosh!
You see it?
Like the stages of tackling Lamar. It's like maybe. Oh no, he's gone.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like when that pocket kind of just like started to shift around him, right, and opened up right in the middle. Dude, Lamar's got to just be like,
yeah, he was playing the weak side safety.
Was he?
Lamar came this way, and he
just shook him out of his shoes.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was spying because that's what I would have thought. What they would have done all game with a guy like
maybe
Lamar.
it wasn't more of a spy, but he saw it coming.
But he came up, yeah. So he was at least he watched film. He knew Lamar like what he would do.
You can spy all you want, but are you fast enough to keep up?
But can you make the play?
Yeah.
That's a great point. Let's talk about the second game on that Sunday slate of games. The Saints, the win, 21-9 over the Bears. And that might have been the only game that went the way that I was expecting. So thank you to Trubisky for being consistently bad, especially when it comes to any type of playoff football. But that 21-9 is deceiving too. Like we said earlier, that last second touchdown, and it was so meaningless. And Graham catches that ball and then just walks into the tunnel.
You said it was, I feel like this game was closer than that. Honestly, I thought the Bears defense kept them in it.
The Bears defense. I'll try and put it like this way. Like the Bears defense did everything they could to keep them in this game.
And more. Like they got them in the red zone.
They performed very well, but their offense, there's no way.
Bad.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like
their defense deserved to be there.
Yes.
The offense did not.
Exactly. That's exactly how I would have put it. Because even if their defense allowed them to still be in that game, their offense had no business being anywhere in that game. So
3 points.
I think it's kind of play calling at that point. And oh my gosh,
Washington on a 4-string QB scored 18 or whatever.
Right.
But they would have had another touchdown if it wasn't for the idiot who dropped the ball. That's the
he
worst.
That's a great point. That was a perfect ball.
That was
perfect ball.
Trubisky with the ball.
Dude.
Their offense was.
What was the name of that receiver again? Do we know?
Oh,
Wims. He was the guy who punched the corner last time.
You see they put that to the Nickelodeon music because of the Nickelodeon broadcasts? They took the fight and then they put the Nickelodeon music behind it. I did.
That was really.
Did you watch any of the Nickelodeon?
I watched when Michael Thomas scored.
I don't want all that stuff off of my screen. It was
just
watching
cool. It was different.
You got the slime zone in the end zone.
Nate Burleson's a great.
While we're on this Saints Bears game, Sean Payton gets slimed afterwards with the Jordan Concords on.
That.
You got him dirty.
They got dirty. They got
slimed him.
slimed.
Yeah.
Nate Burleson
Nate Burleson did a great job. And
he's
then
on Good Morning Football, CBS Sports. He's on Nickelodeon. I'm like,
you know who else was on there? It was Noah.
Former Lion receiver.
What was his last name? Yeah, that's the connection. But the other guy who was on there, Noah something. I forget his last name. I think he usually does the voice of the Clippers or something. He did a great job too. And it was very interesting. I don't know what your take was on it. I mean, you didn't watch any, but it was like they'd say something and then maybe they'd explain it a little bit and elaborate on it. You know what I mean?
He called
break it
Taysom
down.
Hill the kid at recess who can do everything. For a younger
It's
audience,
a different
that's
style.
Like, okay, I know what
It's
he's
a different
doing.
style. And then he would be like something like, "Oh, here we have pass interference, which means this." Like there's something like small things that go a long way in helping.
Yeah.
That's like. I think that's the NFL's way of kind of catering this game to a new audience, especially right now where everybody's at home trying to really maximize revenue. But you know what I mean? Like they're trying to get a new audience.
If you think
football.
about it, the NBA could never do that because there's not going to be a playoff game to where it's like, unless it goes to a Game 7, but you're not going to air a Game 7 on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
NFL, with so many games, Super Wildcard, they reached out to all the companies, CBS, NBC, and they're like, hey, give us an idea. CBS owns Nickelodeon. They're like, hey, this is what we got.
Yeah.
I saw a funny tweet that said, kids turning on Nickelodeon, being forced to watch the Bears for 3 hours.
Who watched the Bears offense?
Big Cat.
I'm never watching football again.
Big Cat was saying, he was like, this was a great weekend for football. The Bears also played, but, we're not going to talk about that.
Oh, that's awesome. Chicago was 1 for 10 on third down, the only conversion being on the touchdown to Jimmy Graham. That was their only conversion on third down, and that's, maybe one of them could have been the Wims 2 or whatever his name was, but
I would have much rather watched Arizona.
Would you?
In Chicago.
Arizona did not deserve to be there.
I don't think they did,
but I would have liked
Bears.
to watch them more.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
Number 1 offense in the NFL.
Were they really technically?
No way.
In the rankings, yeah.
Wow.
Well, when you start 6-3, that number 1 offense should carry you to the playoffs. I don't know how you don't.
The defense,
Not even though Kyler.
I'm gonna say Kyler was inconsistent too.
Straight.
Yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald was out there the last couple games too.
But it would have been better than the Bears offense.
Very
Agreed.
true.
Agreed.
Kyler could have kept them in that
DeAndre
game.
Hopkins.
The Saints, a large reason for their success was that they had Breeze, Kamara, and Thomas on the field for the first time in a while.
They played 21 total snaps or something like that, the 3 of them together.
It was
this year.
10 quarters, so more than that. That was the stat.
You want to, all right.
I'm just saying, that's what I heard on the broadcast. But
All right, I'm looking it up again.
in that game, they had 10 different guys catch passes. So they did a great job of spreading the ball around, and it was like, when you're not...
I think they have 10 guys that even, rotate in.
Right?
I don't think the Lions have 10 total.
Taysom Hill was one of those guys. Taysom Hill was one of the guys who caught a pass, too. That's kind of funny. But that when you're not the Buccaneers, you don't have all these big-time names. Like, you got to spread the ball around and get guys their work and start chipping in and, starting to add up to those yards. So I thought that was kind of an interesting way to go about that. For the last game
Big
here,
rematch next week.
Yeah.
Saints-Bucks.
That's a great
Number
point.
3.
Should be on the History Channel. Did you see that tweet?
I did.
From Brady and
so
Breeze, the beards and everything. I love that. Let's talk about the last game here on Sunday before we go and talk to Demarcus Governor. What?
They played a total of 67 snaps together. I don't know where I got 21.
Okay. But, very limited, right? They have not had the chemistry really this year to be able to gel with all 3 of them on the field. So, great point. The last game, talk about not disappointing on this wild card weekend. The Steelers, they disappoint against the Browns and go down 28-0 in the first quarter. Start off with that fumble recovery in the end zone, and all of Pittsburgh had to just be livid. But they attempted to crawl back into the game. They lose 48-37, and that Cleveland locker room had to be electric after the game. Just how much it means to those guys, with all the stuff that's gone back and forth.
Browns is the Browns.
The Browns is the Browns, but take that Titans-Ravens mentality and then multiply it by 3 or 4, and then that's what you've got. So I thought that was awesome. The offense did go on a bit of a dry spell after jumping to an early lead, but the Browns really look good in all facets of this game. Their defense especially, like we said.
Without 2 starters.
Yes.
In the
that's a
defensive
great
backfield.
point. That's a great point.
Without
and
Joe Bitonio on offense. Without Kevin Stefanski calling plays.
Yes. The Stefanski is huge. I don't know who the hell Bitonio is.
He's a Pro Bowl guard.
It's the guard.
Guard. Okay, sorry. But
and then their first team All-Pro right tackle gets hurt.
Conklin goes out, and they were like, you can rest the rest of the game.
Yeah. Conklin I knew about. But we were talking earlier about Big Ben and his stats, how inflated they were with throwing the ball 60-plus times or whatever the number was. 68?
Yeah.
And, he throws for 500 yards, and you might say, how can you be confident in a defense? But we were talking about, the prevent stuff like that. Part of me is you're going to throw for 500 yards. That's still impressive. And he had some great throws. But at the same time, that Cleveland defense, you walk away from that game and you still think they really performed very well.
Yeah, you watch the defensive scheme, and I know you as a not former quarterback, me as a former quarterback, if the defense is giving you those under routes, you take them.
Take them.
You do.
And what they were doing is pretty much is the defensive backs were playing 15, 20 yards off.
Browns is Browns. Yards is yards.
They got the yards, but they couldn't capitalize. Especially, how
wins
you realize,
wins.
True. And you realize how many times it was at one point, I think Big Ben had more passes than the Browns did offensive plays.
No way.
Yeah.
when you're trying to catch up for 28 points,
that's true.
You got to throw.
Well, yeah, what are you going to do? Because the Pittsburgh has been notoriously bad at running the ball this year.
And if you think about it,
with
too.
Connor and Benny Snell, right?
Yeah.
So,
and if you think about it, too, the Browns, there was one, they scored in 3 plays. Then they scored in 6. And
the time of possession, I'd like to see. Check that out. Check that out. But that time possession stat would be something that I'd be very interested to see, because the Pittsburgh seemed like they possessed the ball a huge chunk of that game. Whenever Cleveland got it, they scored. That was Cleveland's first road playoff win since 1969.
They only had
in
it
Dallas
for 5 more minutes.
Did they?
I think that's because in the second half, the Browns started to
running the ball, run the
Yeah.
clock. Yeah, that's a good point. Cleveland's first road playoff win since 1969 in Dallas.
total plays 84-65.
Excuse me, 84-65.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's their first win in Pittsburgh since 2003. So it's a year of firsts for the Cleveland Browns. Very excited to see them compete against Kansas City.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Echo that.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to have to beat Kansas City.
I'm going to say,
so.
if you're
The
coming out
road
of the
goes through
AFC,
KC.
that's
Yeah.
a great point. Just like how in the NFC, it's going to go through Green Bay. So we'll see how those teams handle that. But that's all we've got for the NFL side
Actually,
of
I
things.
do have one more thing.
Go ahead, please.
There's a tweet I saw earlier. I wish I remembered this guy's name. But one of the linemen that started for Tennessee this weekend, he just signed with the Packers, and he's going to play for them.
Yeah.
No, that was
Colts. No, it was the
Oh,
Colts.
yeah, you're right.
The Colts.
Colts.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Veld Helder or Ved Helder.
So,
or something like that.
thank you for bringing that up because we were talking about that. I know you texted me. You said he was the head coach at GRCC,
Yeah.
Grand Rapids Catholic Central, GRCC.
Okay,
so
yeah.
he was the coach there, and then I guess got the call from the Colts.
Right.
And since he was on the practice squad and
Right.
elevated, then
Jared-
there's some type of alleviation
Jared
there.
Veld here.
Say it again, please.
Jared Veld here.
There you go. So now he's going to
First guy
from
to
one
play in
contender to
2
another.
playoff games
That's
for 2 different teams. in the same
unreal,
year.
dude. And how they found that loophole.
Yeah.
And like some exec from there has
it was
to be
practice squad. Something,
exactly.
yeah.
Some exec over there has to be aware of that loophole and said, "Hey, maybe we'll give this guy a shot. We could use that maybe a little
You
extra."
know what? That just made me think of another thing about linemen.
Let's
We're on
go,
the
go ahead.
topic.
Let's go ahead.
Apparently, one of the Browns' offensive linemen that had to start or
Yeah,
had to play at guard.
Matthew or Michael Dunn.
Stefanski's never even met him before.
Baker
Shut up.
introduced himself before the game.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said it.
Well, we've seen that with a couple other teams, like the kicker. And like who was it for? The Titans, right? Where half the team didn't even know who he was. He just showed up and then got a game winner.
Right.
And that's so funny, like the business attitude of like we're just gonna bring this guy on. We
with
need somebody
COVID.
here.
Well, the Browns it's happened a lot because Baker
has.
didn't know those receivers and they were running stuff in the parking lot. Yeah. That might help.
Wow.
Guys, we're gonna go over routes tomorrow morning before the game. Just be there, right?
Not go over
Another
routes.
thing
We're
we
gonna
have-
learn the routes.
Another thing that we haven't talked about is the Browns getting 1 practice and 1 walkthrough,
Yeah, in the
and then
last
doing that
in the last 3 weeks.
back-to-back wins.
It's a great point. But we said it last week. All the pressure was off. You know what I mean? Everybody expects Pittsburgh to finally show up and win big here.
Playing with house money.
We talked about it with Jimmers.
Exactly.
Just the fact that they had so much. The pressure was off, but the fact that they had so much motivation. Our coach is out. Juju's saying this. We haven't won here in forever. The fuel was there. And then
fuel is fuel.
Sammy Watkins comes out and says, "Oh, it's not," or that's like a stretch or something. When they were like, "Oh, you're gonna have some competition."
Yeah.
He's like, "I wouldn't go that far."
Add it.
And you gotta know that
Edit.
Baker goes on the whiteboard and writes it right
I
down.
love that. I love that.
Like-
They're just doing it to themselves.
They are. But let's go to the conversation with Demarcus Governor, the cornerback from Central Michigan, now making his way over to Northern Iowa. Our second guest on today's episode is a defensive back out of Plant City, Florida, who played in 11 games for the Chippewas at Central Michigan in 2019, but has since entered the transfer portal and is now heading to Northern Iowa. It's Demarcus Governor. What's going on, brother?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Fantastic, my man. Really excited to get you on here. What you been up to?
Shoot, man, just been grinding, building that camaraderie with the new team, building a relationship with the new fellas, work my way into that system, building trust, and ready to do big things.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. You said you were just getting out of practice?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Matter of fact, caught me right in between the break. I got treatment, so.
There you go. Well, good stuff. We were talking to Benny, right? Benny Sapp a couple weeks, or just last week, right? Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how important that is and how he felt like he could really gain the trust of the guys at UNI. Obviously, him coming from Minnesota, so that was a big jump for him to play where his dad played before the NFL. All this things kind of came together for him. But how has that been for you, kind of, gaining the trust? It goes both ways, gaining the trust of those guys and then having them trust in you as you kind of become part of that system.
Trust is a major factor because trust is something, it's like air. You have to know it's there because you can't survive without it, but you don't see it. You get what I'm saying? So when the game's on the line and you're on the field and it's the fourth quarter and it's crunch time, the coaching staff got to trust that they can give you a man coverage call, and they got to trust you and believe in you to make that man coverage call that you can guard and lock that guy up. You see, last night, although they're two incredible players, Sean Wade Sean Wade had to stop playing man. They had to start running 2-man and get him help. You know what I'm saying? Because Devontae Smith is just a ridiculous. He's a great player. He's an even more talented player. So you got to have trust. So trust is definitely key, and it's definitely big. As far as me earning the guys' trust, I just want to show them that I'm bought in. Like, I'm a culture guy. I'm gonna keep my head down. I'm gonna work. My goal is to always be the hardest worker in the room. That's how I grew up. That's just me personally. I like to work, talk less, work more. But yeah, trust builds relationships, and trust leads to win.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Demarcus, that quote right there, I think you could write that down and maybe trademark that. That was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I did not tell you these questions beforehand or nothing. Like, you were ready for that?
That was sweet. I'm not gonna lie. I honestly thought you got it out of a book or something, and then I read that you had a 4.28 GPA coming out of high school. That now I'm like, no, I'm sold.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
How'd you manage to do that with football? Obviously, we're all athletes. We all played high school football.
4.28.
That's incredible.
Man. Yeah, it was actually had 4.28. I almost forgot about that. I just always prided myself. I prided myself on handling my business in the classroom, because I knew when coaches came, I didn't want them to have to question anything about me. I wanted to make myself the best prospect possible. You know what I can do on the field. You know what I can do physically. You see how big I am when you come and meet me. And I don't want you to have to worry about grades. I want you to be able to, let's just talk football. Let's talk ball. Everything else is like you're bringing me a scholarship that's saying that you believe in me. You're willing to pay for this. You're willing to put me in this opportunity, put me in this spotlight. And I'm not going to have to worry about anything. So I feel I have to turn that favor. I felt like the coaches shouldn't have to worry about, what's this kid's grades like? Or do we got to worry about him? Are we going to get calls about him at nighttime? You know what I'm saying? So I just felt like, maybe it would open up the more offers for me and help me accomplish my goal.
I was gonna say, you want to keep as many doors open as possible, and I know between the three of us here, and I'm sure you know as well, we all know guys who have had the physical attributes to go play at the next level. Shoot, we've played with guys like that, Blaze. You know what I mean? And that was maybe not the only thing, but really the primary thing that was holding them back from going on and having all the opportunities that they've ever wanted is the fact that they didn't take care of their grades. And that usually you could have a terrible freshman year of high school, and all of a sudden you're digging yourself out of a hole. So super happy to hear you have that mindset, because I think that's 100% the way to go. And then you can just handle all the other things. And like you said, when you talk to coaches, you just talk about ball. You don't have to worry about anything else. They don't have to worry about you. We just had a team meeting. For us, Northern Michigan, we just had a team meeting earlier today, and our coach is getting on guys. We had some guys that would be ineligible. Obviously, we're not playing right now. And you shouldn't have to do that. It just really should, especially right now, where you're not in football 100% of the time. At least for us, you can focus on school.
There's too much going on.
Yeah, I know. Let's take care of your business. I love that. But I wanted to ask you, what made you come all the way up from Florida to play at Central Michigan?
You see, the thing is, I got that question a lot, especially once I committed. Because when I committed to Central, I committed early. I committed in the summer, and I shut down my visit. I remember when Wake Forest and Kansas offered me, I didn't even take the visit. I just was locked in with Central. But
I didn't know that.
A guy named Corey Hall, yes sir. A guy named Corey Hall is what got me to Central Michigan. Coach Hall, he had Sean Bunting and Xavier Crawford, who Sean Murphy Bunting starts for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yep. Xavier Crawford, he was drafted 5th round to the Texans. He plays with the Chicago Bears. And before him, he had Tristan. I believe his last name Dotson. He was a corner for the Texans, and then Taron Johnson for the Bills, who caught the 6-6 against the Steelers.
There you go.
He came under Coach Hall. Everything Coach Hall touched was gold. You know what I'm saying? And he did everything the right way. He believed in work. He believed in the little things, details matter. He believed in living it. Too many guys, everybody wants to go to the NFL. Everybody loves the good stuff that comes with it. But it has to be a lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? You have to earn it. You have to want it every moment, even when it sucks, even when it hurts, even when it's not in your best interest. You get what I'm saying? You have to make it in your best interest.
Totally.
So Coach Hall got me. He got me with that. And then the NFL pipeline with them was huge.
And, you know, I approach college football like a business coming out. My father and my mother was in my ear. And me and my father's like one of my best friends for real. So he lot for it. He was a coach. And I had a cousin, Benny Coney, who was like a major recruit coming out of high school. He was the number one quarterback in the state of Florida. Offers from Alabama, Clemson, Auburn, all over the place. So we were used to the recruiting process, and we kind of had an idea with it because he was some years older than me, so he had already went through playing and all that good stuff. So, you know, I just was, just well prepared and had some great people in my ear. And I felt like Central would be a great fit for me to come in and make an impact right away, which you hinted on that earlier, which I ended up not falling short of that by being able to play in 11 games as a freshman.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like you said, you had that goal in mind, and that's like when you have those type of things set out for yourself in the future, it just makes it that much more attainable. Like, obviously, you were able to go out there and, like you said, make an immediate impact, get out there on the field, put yourself in the best position to succeed. Now, you've got 3 seasons of eligibility left now, heading to UNI, as well as a redshirt year still available to you if you choose to take it. Like you said, you approach college football like a business, and I think a lot of guys think with that same mindset. You have aspirations to play at that next level, right, professional. Now, are you going to potentially make use of that redshirt year? I would assume you think you're a guy, you know, that would come in and just make an immediate impact on that Panthers team.
Yes, sir. No, my intention is not to use that red shirt. You know, my biggest thing is COVID has been as disastrous as it has been for some people and some families, and my heart goes out to everybody that lost someone to COVID. But COVID has been an amazing blessing for me. I was just able to change and grow so much over this pandemic time, physically, mentally, get stronger. You know, because I feel like 97% of the battles with college athletes are really mental. A lot of people don't really understand what college athletes go through, because everybody just sees, oh, you're a football player. Like, we hear this every day. You're a football player. Everything's paid for. I wish I was a football player. You know what I'm saying? So it's little things, and everybody lives their own personal lives. So
yeah,
being mentally strong plays a huge role in being an athlete. But so I don't plan on using my red shirt. And what I was saying about COVID is COVID basically let last year, my true freshman year, be a red shirt because nobody eligibility counts. So I'm gonna be able to play in 2 football seasons this year. I'm gonna be able to play in 2 football seasons in 1 calendar year and still have that eligibility. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah,
no, sir, I doubt I'll have to use my red shirt, God forbid, unless I get hurt.
That's a great point, and that's something nice too to have in your back pocket, like you said, in case you get hurt or something happens, which would be that's great for you. We've had, like I said, Benny Sapp earlier. Then we had Will McIlvain on, and it's awesome that you guys get that spring season all mapped out for you. And then, like you said, 2 in a calendar year, like that's awesome. But Drew, you had something?
Yeah, I just thought your mentality. I just want to say, like, I really like the way that you're approaching everything. You know, taking it as a business, and I understand that there are some people, especially people that I've known, that they've gone on to school, and whether it's playing football or just not, and they're like, oh, like, this was a real, like, culture shock for me. You know, they weren't approaching it the right way. And I just feel like Demarcus, you've definitely taken that first step into, you know what you want to do, and now it's just, you know, you got to just play ball, you know. I just
like everything leading up to this, like, you've got it handled. So now, like, you're putting yourself in the best position to go out and play ball. And like you said, you've already getting practice with the guys and things like that. You know, how excited are you to just get playing? Like, finally, you've got all this stuff ready to go, and now you're just heading forward to that game day.
Oh man, I'm super excited. You know, Coach Johnson and his defense, Coach Johnson and Coach Farley, have been around for years, a few decades actually. So it's like it's established. Everything's a technique. Everything's precise. You get what I'm saying? And like going back to what I was saying earlier, that's what I committed to when I committed to Coach Hall. I committed to detail. I committed to the little things because I'm a firm believer in how you do anything is how you do everything. You get what I'm saying? So
totally.
If I'm practicing this specific technique, I'm going to use this specific technique. You know what I'm saying? Muscle memory is key, especially being a DB. So, man, I'm beyond excited. I'm happy to be here. I'm beyond happy to be here. I chose here just as much as they chose me. You know, there's hundreds of guys in the portal currently. The portal is currently flooded.
Yeah,
and I hope a lot of them guys find homes. But the odds of them finding homes, it's kind of slim to none with how many people are in the portal. But yes, sir, I chose to come here. Coach Johnson and Coach Farley, Coach Brookins, they chose to offer me, and it's a blessing. I'm beyond excited and ready to work for it.
Good to hear, my man. Good to hear. Let's jump back in I want to jump back in the MAC for a second. We had quarterback CJ Harris on earlier. He's quarterback from Ohio University. And we were talking to him about the strength of the MAC conference. We talked about Jarrett Patterson for a little bit, who obviously was putting up like video game numbers at Buffalo, the 8-touchdown game and all of that stuff, right?
He's ridiculous.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Like you're out here playing NCAA or something like that. But I wanted to ask you, like, how impressed were you by the level of talent that you were playing against in that conference? And then did you have any draft prospects on that CMU team that had a legit shot to go play in the league?
Oh yeah, I got plenty of teammates. I got plenty of teammates from my central team that's in the league and that are currently in the league and that's currently going.
Awesome.
My boy, I'm gonna answer the complete excuse me.
No,
I'm
you're
gonna
good.
answer the complete question, but
go ahead. I
you
want to
just
hear
got me excited with that.
Yeah.
Laquan Johnson, probably if he can stay healthy, he's crazy explosive. He was a freshman All-American, sophomore season, led in tackles for loss. Like Laquan's crazy.
There you go.
Kobe Lewis is probably, you guys know who Kobe Lewis is if you guys talking MAC football.
Of course.
And then Troy Brown. I mean, Troy Brown has the most upside, one of the freakiest athletes in the world. There's a lot of upside on that central team. Deshaun McNair, like there's a lot of guys on that team that legit have shots. There's a lot of guys on that team that have legit shots. And that goes for the whole conference of the MAC. There's a lot of guys that have shots, but where it separates guys who have shots and guys who make it's things that you can't control. The biggest thing they say for you not to do or for you to do is control what you can control.
Yep.
And to make it's a lot of things that you can't control that have to go right for you. You get what I'm saying? There's a lot of guys who can have that ability and have that potential. But yeah, so the MAC, I was a huge advocate for the MAC coming out of high school. Like I remember specifically telling the coach, I won't say the school, but I remember specifically telling the coach, no sir, if I don't go to UCF, I'm going to the MAC. Like I never was big into chasing stadiums. I wanted to go where I knew I was going to be on the field right now.
I love that.
But yeah, it's definitely high level competition in the MAC. My thing about the MAC is the funding. Sometimes you can see schools that separate. You can see where funding separates schools. For instance, like
interesting.
Bowling Green to Western. You go look at Western facilities, Western Stadium, and the money they put in, and Western does not have losing seasons. Western doesn't miss a beat. You know what I'm saying? Stability in the MAC is huge because the MAC is a conference that always is sending stuff out. Coaches come through the MAC like the Bush Joneses. You know what I'm saying? Coach McElwain's now in the MAC. Like, it's always going to be some people in the MAC as far as names, transfer players. There's always great talent in the MAC. So, yeah, the MAC's a heck of a conference, man. I love being in the MAC.
100%.
Yeah,
we had a coach from Western Michigan on just last week, Casey Zenner. So that was an awesome conversation, and he echoed exactly what you had to say right there. But go ahead, I want to say that.
Yeah, Demarcus, that's exactly what I was going to go into. Is Coach McElwain obviously, he's competed for SEC championships. I'm pretty sure he won a national championship with Nick Saban as an offensive coordinator.
Did he?
Yeah, and then was
as offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and was at obviously Michigan before Central. What is that?
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel to have someone who's sent guys to the league and knows what it takes to win a national championship? Like as a culture, like how did he install that at Central Michigan? How did that feel?
Oh man, you don't want to know how I felt because I early enrolled. Yeah, you definitely don't want to know how I felt. I early enrolled. It was like 6 or 7 of us who early enrolled. It was me, Daniel Richardson, Lou Nichols, Cameron Vaughn, Logan Guthrie, and I believe maybe one more. I know it's off the top of my head. Oh, and a guy named Braden Childress, who was a gray shirt. But
okay.
So we all got there, and our first day was Coach Mack's first day with the team. You get what I'm saying? So
oh, wow.
It was winter conditioning. It was January 5th. I remember it like it was yesterday. Coach Mack stripped every logo. He stripped every leisure because that was when Central had just came off of a 1-11 season.
Yep.
And he had just got the job for a reason. So his job was to come in and change the culture. So he come in, he strips the logos off everything. We're working out in a plain gray Adidas T-shirt, plain maroon shorts, long white socks, and plain black shoes. Like literally, no Adidas socks, no nothing. Hanes socks. Like he made sure everything was clean. He earned everything. Yeah.
Oh.
But he legit. Coach Mac is a true businessman. Coach Mac came in. He let us know up front what he demanded from us. There wasn't a negotiation. He asked us what our common goals was. He met with everybody individually, heard everybody out. And once he realized everybody had the same goal, he's gonna hold us accountable. And that's what he held us to. So the standard was to be great. Everything was different. Work ethic. We ran with a purpose. Guys left. Some guys were forced to leave because, it comes with changing the culture.
Yeah.
And then, we had a great run. That same year, we ended up going 8-2 in the regular season, or 8-3 rather in the regular season, going to the MAC championship, going to a bowl game.
Yeah.
We fell short in the MAC championship, fell short in the bowl game, but it still was a hell of a season, a hell of a thing to be a part of, and this is what we committed to. So it was even a better feeling knowing that we built that.
Yeah, that was Miami, Ohio, right?
Yep.
They had a solid squad. That was a good game too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a great game. I did want to talk. We talked, Coach, at the SEC experience. Let's talk about the SEC a little bit. National championship, right? Alabama takes home. I mean, the game kind of went how we were expecting, but Ohio State's got guys in the defensive line out. Everybody's banged up. We'll talk about it here after we finish up the conversation a little bit more. But I wanted to know your thoughts on seeing Jalen Waddle come in and play a bit in that game. Broke his ankle like 7 weeks ago, and he catches that first ball, and then he's hobbling off the field. Like, what did you think about him playing?
I think whoever's in his ear doesn't truly care about him. Like, as far as a player, a person, okay, I'll tell you myself, I played a whole game on a broken leg. You know what I'm saying? So I know how it feels as a competitor.
Yeah.
But in that situation, man, Jalen Waddle was guaranteed first round. You get what I'm saying? He's guaranteed millions. He's one of those guys who are exceptional. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody can be a first round pick.
Not a lot of people.
The most common guys are right. You feel what I'm saying? Common guys that we think, he might get drafted, may be a 5th, 6th, 7th round or undrafted pickup. And those are most of the guys you think are just out of this world. But guys like Jalen Waddle, DeMonte Smith, guys that are exceptional. I mean, especially when he plays on a team like that where they didn't need it. Because you look at, like, he got the ball, he caught the under route, went 15 yards, hobbled off, came back in later, and then, you know what I'm saying, and they zoomed in on him on the sideline. He was in pain. It's just like, in my opinion, I respect you as a competitor, and I understand where you're at as a competitor, but I feel for Nick Saban and their staff and whoever's in his ear in this corner, they shouldn't have. At the end of the day, he's a grown man. He's going to do what he wants to do. But somebody should have told him, it's not worth it. Because God forbid, he would have got tackled the wrong way. And now he can't even declare. He has to come back or spend a whole another year recovering, a whole bunch of stuff. But that's apples and oranges. He finished the game healthy. He's still going to continue treatment. He's still going to go first round. So shouts out to him. Them boys got the national championship. They accomplished. So.
Yeah, they did, my man. That was a great game. But I agree with you. I really do. And you saw a ton of professional athletes from, all the different sports, especially most notably football.
LeBron?
But LeBron actually did not. I don't think he tweeted about that, did he? No, I think that was just more about
I didn't see it.
No, there were a bunch of, I know, like Mahomes.
If he did tweet about it, you would have saw.
Yeah, you would have. You would have seen it because somebody would have picked it up and posted it. But you saw all these athletes come out and be like, sometimes you have to protect the athlete from themselves. And I was like, that was kind of interesting because like you said, from a competitive standpoint and from somebody who's been in a similar situation like that, like, hell yeah, you want to go play. Like, are you kidding me? Especially at that point in the season, like everybody at Alabama just wants to go win a national championship. But I thought that was really interesting. Like some point you got to protect the athlete from themselves. DeMarcus, can't thank you enough for coming on, my man. That's all I've got for you today. I appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys for having me.
Of course, my man. I'm sure I'll talk to you soon. All right, I'll see you. Good talk with our guy DeMarcus. Glad we could get him on a lot of MAC representation on the pod today. I'm happy about that. Last week,
or not last week. You can't say MACtion.
Right?
Very motivated guy.
He was. Dude, that trust is like air.
You don't have it.
Yeah. I thought he was reading off of a piece of paper when he said that. I was amazed. Just
At first, I didn't know where it was going, but then I was like, "Wow!"
Yeah, first I was like,
sense.
I was like, he's been waiting on this one. Yeah. He's been waiting to use this one, but he wrapped it all together.
You got a slam dunk right there.
He did,
that
dude.
Was a
major credits from the fellas here.
Jam.
That's awesome. But talking to him about the College Football National Championship, Ohio State falls to Alabama. Nick Saban gets his 7th national championship, 6th at Alabama. If he wasn't the GOAT as far as college football coaching was, he is now. But
if he wasn't the GOAT in your eyes, you're an idiot.
That's very true. But now he passes, it was Bear Bryant, right?
Yeah.
As far as the national championships go. So that would be like the last straw.
Bear Bryant did
right?
it in like 25 years. He did it in 12.
Exactly.
I saw
half the time.
a crazy thing that said every guy that Saban's recruited to Alabama
has won a national championship.
I was wondering that because there was that big thing with Izzo to where it was like every class that stays all 4 years has gone to at least one Final Four.
Yeah.
With Alabama, I literally
take
said
that to the next level.
I said to my dad, I was like, you got to think they had to have won a national championship like once.
That's unreal. That's unreal,
well,
dude.
It's easy when you
that's the
every
first thing
years.
they say on the recruiting visit too.
Yeah, he's been
rightfully
he's
so.
won more national championships than lost at Alabama.
Yeah.
Like
for him,
or
man.
not lost, but not even been in.
Yeah, appeared. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. But we talked to him about Jalen Waddle and like protecting the athlete from himself. I thought it was very interesting. But I just wanted to kind of touch on that because that was kind of a big storyline for them. But Alabama, they win 52-24. Offense looks dominant against an Ohio State team that really put pressure on Trevor Lawrence last week. Now, the Crimson Tide's success, was largely due to 2 starting defensive linemen out before the game, and then they lost another during the game, a key injury for them. So that, I think, had a huge role to play because we saw Mac Jones, who actually did get banged up early on in the game. We'll talk about all the injuries here in a second, but the furthest thing from a mobile quarterback is Mac Jones. So if you can get pressure on him, I thought with Trevor Lawrence, he had a chance to get out there and make some plays with his feet, and he's very fast and very athletic. Mac Jones is not. He's a pocket passer. He gets very comfortable, and he was very comfortable throughout this game.
He's really accurate.
He's extremely accurate.
He was putting the ball where it needed to be.
Yeah, he has so many great wide receivers, this and that. Dude, when you have like very little incomplete passes, I don't care. Like when you put the ball in the right spot for your guys to succeed, I don't care who you're playing with. Yeah, I don't care who you're playing with. That's a great quarterback. He's a really good quarterback. He won, what award was it? Escapes me right now.
I think.
Yeah, but best quarterback in the country. So,
okay.
Obviously a great quarterback, whatever way you spin it.
My dad was saying something funny last night. He said he moves like he's old. He's like, you know how Big Ben and Phillip Rivers move around? It's like, that's how Mac Jones moves.
I wouldn't go as far as Big Ben.
Yeah,
Phillip Rivers probably. Yeah.
Dude, Big Ben looks like he could keel over any second.
Yeah, gosh.
But I wanted to talk about
before you say that, you said the defensive line would have made a huge. You're right. They only scored 52 points with 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Would have been a huge adjustment to make for Alabama. They probably would have thrown the ball even more and probably would have scored 70.
I saw a tweet from our guy Jeff Okuda.
Did you? I didn't see this.
Second half adjustments will be key or something like that for Ohio State.
Sneed.
LeBron totally jumped off the Ohio State bandwagon when he was like, Devontae Smith is the greatest
That's a good point.
receiver
Wow. You did not
ever.
see, well, didn't he like kind of tweet out at Justin Fields last week though?
It's like this.
Yeah, but
it's
so he's still kind of with
Buckeye
it.
for life. But he was like,
like
man,
the,
Alabama's amazing.
Game respect game.
It's like the Simpsons thing where he like disappears into the bush.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Mahomes was tweeting. You knew that.
Mahomes is always tweeting, bro. But I want to talk about the
Should be
injuries.
practicing.
There are more injuries than just those 2 starting defensive linemen, and they affected both teams. Trey Sermon, who we talked about, leaves after his first carry with a shoulder injury, heads to the local hospital after getting an x-ray right there. Like, bang, we're going to get you and get an x-ray, and he was gone. So
Feel bad.
that's
for
got to
him.
suck,
Collarbone
man. And he
hurts.
was the grad transfer from Oklahoma, correct? So
Collarbone hurts. I can attest to that.
it was the collarbone, not the
Yeah.
shoulder.
I think so.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
really know,
collarbone.
but
I don't know. Yeah,
some up
somewhere right up in that area.
Really sucks.
Punch the mic
Yeah,
right
I
He
up.
haven't,
started this career planting a flag in Ohio, and then he couldn't compete in the national title when he joined.
It does suck. I felt bad for him. Devontae Smith was the story of the night, going out with that hand injury. He had a stellar performance in that first half, and for him to not be able to compete in that second half. Did they need him? No. Did the audience want him? Hell
Did you
yes.
hear what
12
Nick
catches?
Saban said to him?
What'd he say?
He goes, "You're the only player that I've ever seen go out of a national championship with a finger injury."
Did he say that?
He was like, "I'm just messing with you." Like
back of his head though, he's like,
Yeah,
bitch, like, come on.
probably because he weighs 174 pounds.
What?
that was a horrible thing to say.
Oh, we'll bleep it. It wasn't that bad. But we talked about Waddle already. We touched on that. Plays despite battling a broken ankle that he endured earlier in the season. And then Mac Jones, he got banged up with that leg injury that I mentioned, made him more immobile than his usual self. So a ton of injuries. And you kind of see, obviously, this is a national championship, so you're not going to have guys like opting out left and right. But when guys talk about leaving for that bowl game to really preserve themselves, whatever, you can see why that is super important. Like every single snap that you take could potentially be your last, at least for the season.
Especially for that Alabama safety. I think his last name was Battle.
Going
out for the
targeting call.
Oh, God,
and they kept putting the cameras on him. I'm like,
awesome.
take the cameras off this kid. I feel terrible for him.
Like, let him. You could tell he was about to cry.
Emotionally distraught. Oh, yeah, he was.
I was thinking to myself, I'm like, man, you work all this way to like play, and then you get ejected.
You get a quarter and a half in, really.
But then I thought about even more, like Trey Sermon getting hurt on the first play.
Even worse.
He didn't even get to play, pretty much.
It's terrible.
Yeah, no, when you bring up the whole, I completely understand the whole, idea of maybe I should sit this one out. Christian McCaffrey did, Leonard Fournette did, Devin Bush did.
Now, who was not to interrupt you, but who was that tight end from Michigan who decided to play? Was it Jake Butt? Who got that injury in
ACL,
the
he hasn't been the same
Orange
since.
Bowl?
Yeah.
He's torn his ACL like 3 times.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, no.
I remember after that, I was like, I really get it now. Like, really.
But at the same time, like, that's like, oh, I'm going to sit out the state championship because I got a Division I offer. And if I get hurt, like, I won't be able to keep that offer. Like, you still want to go play the game.
That's why when we're talking to CJ, I'm talking about Donovan Edwards, who's one of the best prospects in the country. Like, I'm very glad that he's going to stick it out and play with West Bloomfield,
I didn't
Michigan.
even think they would be allowed to do that.
What?
Like, let's say you're
like forego?
If you're like, what if you wanted to early enroll? You like school starting this week.
Yeah,
but you got to play in the playoffs.
That's a great question. I wonder if he is. I would assume he is, right? I don't know.
Well, it's got to be completely just changed now because of COVID.
That's probably very true. Like what Michigan, like at the football, as far as what they can do.
I'm saying like any team.
Yeah, that's a good point. Devontae Smith, before leaving with the injury, playing out of his mind, like we said, 12 catches, 215 yards, 3 touchdowns for an average of almost 18 yards per catch all in the first half.
Yeah.
Man, that would have been not that.
I think it was on 13 targets too.
Was it actually?
13, 14, something like that.
Yeah, right there.
12 catches.
Yeah, I know he had the one where the linebacker came and knocked him for one, and he dropped that one. But
that was the play you guys finger hurt.
Was it?
I think it was the.
It might have been.
The second
half.
half.
When he landed on top of him.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Master Teague III, though, stepped up big early in the place of Sermon, 2 touchdowns of his own, and he tried to keep that Buckeyes offense in the game.
I think it was like, it's kind of like, I don't know a good word for this, but like Master Teague was the starter at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
It's not like
because they had the grad transfer coming in. It's not like, I shouldn't kind of put it like that.
They're acting like, oh, Trey Sermon's out. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
We'll put your starter.
Yeah, last year when Dobbins went out, they were like, at least we got Master Teague.
Yeah,
he's
like,
a beast.
So what? Like, you still got Master Teague.
It's funny after that Big Ten championship game where Sermon puts up those numbers, how the perspective changes on that.
Yeah.
Especially for people outside of the program.
He was hurt that game.
And like, what did he do in the season?
He was hurt?
He didn't play him.
I didn't know that.
Did like Sermon even play like all that much
earlier?
It's a great
question.
They
said Trey Sermon had more yards in the Big Ten championship than he did it was like very close to the weeks before.
Yeah.
In that one game, and then they're like, oh, we got to start.
This is the guy.
Right.
Yeah. Which very talented back, by the way.
Yeah.
But
not taking anything away from him.
Don't knock down Master Teague III. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude was balling out.
Yeah.
Against the solid Alabama defense.
Before you move on,
go ahead.
You brought this up earlier. LSU with Joe Burrow or Mac Jones with Alabama? Who are you taking?
I have to take Alabama. If I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, why?
Well, you're saying, I've heard some people say like, oh, Burrow is better than Mac Jones, and like LSU's like the 2 receivers they had last year was like the best combo ever, and blah blah.
Justin Jefferson,
the defense and all this stuff. Well, if you if you're going like just by the national championship, Mac Jones had the same basically the same stats that Burrow did. I think Najee Harris is better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I give you that. I really do.
I think Devontae Smith is better than Jefferson or Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase, who is going to be the draft this year.
I don't really know anything about Alabama's defense, so I can't really have an opinion on that.
Yeah.
But I think I will give LSU the O-line probably because they were some hogs last year.
They were some hogs, dude.
I'm going to give it to LSU because I really feel like they played each other. Like, this is the same Alabama team from last year that LSU kept out of the playoff. Because if you think about
it,
where it's
similar, yeah.
Well, all their guys. I mean, Alabama lost guys, yeah. So
I'm saying it's never going to be the exact
Not
same
the
team
exact
because
same.
guys grow and guys develop and things
Yeah,
over the course of each.
but
So
And then
think
people
about-
say like, "Oh, Ohio State was way worse than Clemson was last year." Like talking about Mac Jones
Yeah.
stats and all that, why they were so good.
they beat Trevor
I mean,
Lawrence,
but like
and
they're
so,
in the game. Obviously,
yeah.
they're a good team.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
they made
I
it.
mean,
They made it this far. Like
so I'm not. You bring up a good point. Obviously, players grow. Devontae
Yeah,
Smith was
exactly.
not even close to the guy he was last year. So, but I would still give it to LSU just based off of. I just think Joe Burrow. I think Mac Jones is good. I think if a
Very
Tampa
good.
Bay Buccaneers picked him with a late first-round pick, or a Washington football team picked him,
really,
I think that'd be a great pick. But Joe Burrow, it's Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd give it to Joe Burrow. And just for the fact that Joe Burrow played 15 games last year, so they had more chance to get upset. They went at Texas, beat Texas on the road. I just think they had more of a complete season.
Alabama played 13.
No, I know, but those 2 games, you still got
Yeah,
you still got a shot to lose.
yeah,
Right,
that's true.
You're right.
I would say. I mean, you kind of finished there.
I'm
Okay. I would say Alabama's 100% healthy. I'm taking them because you got Dickerson, right? That lineman who was out. We got Waddle battling the injury. Even
Right.
Mac Jones was banged up. And we had other guys in the Alabama defense who were banged up. I know for sure there's a key linebacker that was out for them. So I would say both teams 100% healthy. I'll take Alabama too, even though that LSU team was
Right.
absolutely stacked.
Forgot about Jalen Waddle.
Yeah,
I think
right.
Waddle and
We did not get to see his full impact.
Devontae Smith would be better than Jefferson and Chase.
Really?
I agree.
That's yeah.
They're different games though, so I think it's kind of hard to compare those
You're
two.
right.
Now I would
duos.
say Waddle is kind of. I feel like
I think LSU
Devontae Smith and Jefferson are kind of the same. I feel like they play. The
Yeah,
same
one won a
same
Heisman.
style.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, still like
I forgot.
I know what you
he's
mean.
the second
Totally forgot I was
receiver
about
on
to
Yeah,
say.
I know.
Totally forgot what I was about to say. I was
What?
about to say something.
Really
Oh,
important.
I think everybody
go.
was like, they were just wowed by how many points LSU could score last year.
Yeah,
They were
that's a
dropping
good
like
point.
60 every
That's
other
what
week.
Alabama.
You know
was
what a
doing
point
this
that I
year.
wanted to make?
Yeah,
Alabama, when Najee Harris came out late in the game and they put in the next running back. I forget his name off the top of my
He'll
head.
win a Heisman or something.
But yeah, so this is always funny about Alabama. They don't rebuild, they reload, right? Even Devontae Smith said
yeah,
it.
it's
It's
like they
always
said the dynasty was over.
yeah.
We
It's-
don't rebuild, we
It's
reload.
always awesome because when you get these guys who come out late in the game and the other guys in that Alabama roster get to come out and play, like here are guys that you don't know who they are right now. In 2 years, we're going to be talking about this running back, whoever
Yeah.
the hell he is,
Yeah,
because he's an
when it
absolute.
goes from-
He was a physical runner. I mean, he's making big plays right now. I can't wait to see all
It
these
goes
guys in
from,
2 more years.
Mark Ingram to Derrick Henry to Kenyon Drake to Josh Jacobs to Damian Harris. It's like,
dude,
talking about it's just like,
RBU or
stuff
wide
is just
receiver you,
flowing into
They're
my
both.
mind right now.
right?
yeah, because
It's
If
unreal.
if you remember, Devontae Smith was the one who caught that game-winning
National-
pass from
yeah,
Tua.
freshman from Tua,
If you think,
freshman to
Their
freshman.
receiving core that year was Jerry Jeudy,
last year too.
Devontae Smith,
Ruggs.
Henry
Ruggs
Ruggs,
and Waddle.
Jalen Waddle, Calvin Ridley.
Oh
Oh my gosh.
They're crazy.
Oh, you forgot about Julio Jones, Amari Cooper.
I mean,
as far as
earlier
I know
on,
for that
earlier
team,
on.
but
Yeah, yeah.
LSU.
I'm
That's
just saying they're all on
like-
the same team
yeah, same program at that point.
Yeah.
in
Unreal.
2017. I think
Unreal.
they were
That's
on
all
the
we've
same
got
team.
for the
Too bad Tua was carried. in
college football
college.
side of things. Let's move on to our last little segment here, and that is what team or player caught our eyes this week. Anyone want to start us off here? Or want me to start us?
Go ahead.
You got it.
My guy was Cam Akers. That is the running back for the LA Rams. He got 28 carries in the Rams game against Seattle and took advantage of every single one of them. 131 yards and a touchdown. Huge responsibility for a guy who I continually forget he's still a rookie at this point. And like the way he's playing, he does not, give any indication of that. He's really starting to fill in that void that was left by Todd Gurley, which I forget about. Again, I forget about that all the time. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
Todd Gurley
but
was really good that one year.
exactly. So
That
like
one
I'm
year.
just right. But I'm saying like there was definitely something that was left when he left that franchise, and he's starting
Yeah.
to fill that void and give them that production that they need at that position.
They started with a 3-back system. They kind
They
of
did.
transitioned it.
Wasn't he an
they have.
undrafted guy too?
No, he was second round.
I don't think he was. Yeah,
Akers?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't
Second,
know.
third round.
But
I
the
drafted
run
him
game,
fantasy, so.
the run game for LA is huge because if Jared Goff, continues to struggle with that thumb injury, they're going to be feeding Akers next week because that's what they're gonna have to do.
And it could be a weather situation too. It's Green Bay.
Exactly. And Green Bay's run defense, we know, has notoriously not been as good as some of the other
Yeah,
facets
David
of their team.
Montgomery tore him up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be – I think he's going to have a breakout game. Well, he needs to. Goff only threw for 155 yards on 19 attempts Saturday. compared
On
to
a
someone
broken
like
thumb.
Big Ben who threw for 68. So
On a broken thumb.
on a broken thumb.
Splints in his thumb.
Yeah,
Still.
yeah.
Still, I'm saying all the more reason that Cam Akers needs to have a great game. That's why
I'm
Cam
surprised
Akers
he
is
can,
my
like,
guy for this
hold
week.
on to the football. Like,
Agreed.
your thumb is
They
like
said
the
the
big
more
part.
they said the more he squeezed it, the more it hurt. So he was like,
That
going
makes
like,
sense.
Yeah, like your thumb is the only thing holding on to the football from falling out of your hand.
Right? It's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
150 yards. Anyways, Blaze, who you
I
got?
guess I'll go next because I have
Please.
the Los Angeles Rams as my team.
Hey, here we go.
Big win, first round.
Huge win.
Lost to Seattle a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Come back, beat them pretty easily. I assume the score was pretty close, but I feel like they
Yeah, I mean, especially when you look at
handled
the Seahawks offense, I would agree with that. Like the Rams, I wouldn't say they went as far as like they dominated that game, but they
Right.
were in control of a lot of the
It
aspects
wasn't
of
ever
that
like
game.
wasn't really in question.
Yeah, agreed.
How about that pick on the screen to DK? Like that's gonna be the
Dude.
Oh,
best
yeah.
play from a corner.
I think.
Man,
ever.
that was tough to watch from like a
and I'm not
Seahawks
gonna, hold
standpoint.
on, I'm gonna come back to my
Oh,
comment
go ahead.
here.
Go ahead. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. That screenplay where he
Yeah.
just jumped it, basically,
'Cause
right?
It was right after DK was getting a little frustrated. He's like, "Hey, give me the ball," which
Yeah.
obviously they need to do more.
Yeah.
But that guy came just jumps it.
Yeah. Well, everybody in the building apparently knew that DK was going to get the ball,
Yeah.
including the guy that was guarding him. But that'll be interesting. They have to travel
Number
to.
if you're looking up who it was, I think it was number 31.
The corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, what were you looking at? What were
Yeah,
you
that's
looking
what
up?
that's what I was looking for because I'm pretty sure he was like a D3 guy.
Was he really?
Oh, really?
Yeah. If I'm thinking of the right school, I'm pretty sure he was from my conference.
That'd actually be sweet. Go
I
ahead.
don't want to like.
That's okay. Yeah,
lay-
go ahead and
like,
try and find that.
set it
Drew,
in
who do
stone.
you have this
Yeah.
week?
So obviously, I don't want to be a little biased, but I felt like I kind of had to. Mike Prefier. He was.
That sounds familiar. Who is
He was the special teams coach who was the acting head coach for the Browns.
Yeah, okay.
First off, just to step in as a special teams guy.
Didn't they say? Oh, I'll let you go first. I'll let you go first. Go
What?
ahead.
No,
I was
you
gonna
go.
say, didn't they say that like he had the whole printout, or was it just jokes? Like I had the whole printout from Stefanski on like basically his game plan. He just handed it to.
No,
You said 31?
Van Pelt was the one calling plays. He was the offense coordinator.
Okay.
He was still
Okay.
there.
Good.
But Prefier, they said I watched his post game press conference. He grew up in Cleveland. He's been a Cleveland guy. He held back tears. Actually, I wouldn't even say he held back. There were tears coming down his face about saying how much it meant to him and his
That's
family.
awesome.
And it's like, dude, you're a special teams coordinator, and Stefanski's like, all right, you're the head coach. They said the only reason they made him the head coach was because as a special teams guy, you're like, all right, Harrison Bryant, tight end, you're going to go here. Myles Garrett, defense end, you're going to go here. You are working both sides of the ball. You're seeing both. Whereas Van Pelt's only with the offense and Joe Woods is only with the defense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I was.
And they both have their responsibilities.
Yeah.
More heavy responsibilities.
Yeah,
during
and,
the
I mean,
game.
he did go 0 for 1 on a challenge, which was kind of a bad challenge.
yeah, it was.
But you got the dub, and
yeah.
I felt like it was a good story.
Go ahead, Blaze.
Sadly, I was mistaken.
Damn
Whatever I
it.
read was wrong. I don't know what I was reading then.
That's a downer, dude.
It was okay. It wasn't for me. All right.
Maybe it was the
I was reading from someone else. Okay.
Yeah,
maybe
well,
it
you
was the
bought
guy
it.
who got the
You
pick
bought it.
versus the Cardinals last week. Maybe it was that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But anyway, I'm
Never
reading
know.
the roster here. He's only 5'9".
Oh.
This guy Darius Williams.
Even I'm fine.
Making plays. Except he can run.
Anyway,
He can run.
Peyton Hill.
just stop trying to quote stuff
stop.
before I.
Yeah, let's
Validate
let's vet it first.
Well, I said Kamara, Michael Thomas, and Drew Brees would play 21 snaps together. I was
60
way off.
some.
You've
Yeah.
been looking up stats all night.
Yeah.
Samsonite. I was way off. You know what that's
Yeah.
from?
What?
Dumb and Dumber.
What was the
dude.
quote? I didn't hear you.
Never mind. I'm not even gonna say it again.
That's fine.
So you're
But
telling me there's a chance?
there we go. Something
So
I can
you're saying
recognize.
there's a
But that's all we've got for this episode
Hilarious.
of Division One Rejects.
Wow.
Thank you all for
Already?
joining us. Yeah, I know. I feel like it flew by pretty quickly.
Two good conversations. in that
Two
one.
great conversations. I love that first one with CJ and then Demarcus with the. Dude, I'm never gonna forget the trust and error comparison.
I'm gonna use that now.
That's going on the Twitter.
Hey Hunter, if you're listening,
He
how about
won't
them
be.
Titans and Derrick Henry, the best running back in football?
Yeah, he won't be
40
listening.
yards exactly.
But
McCaffrey
I'm
would
definitely
have lined
gonna
up in
use
the
that,
slot
I'm just definitely gonna use that trust thing in like a
The
paper.
air.
or like a
Please
pregame
do.
speech.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like we need to trust each other. It's like air. Yeah,
You don't see it, but you know it's there.
You need it to survive.
You need it to survive.
you could use that in your wedding vows.
Jeez, this is a versatile quote from
yeah,
this guy.
I know, right?
Anyways, that'll be up on our Twitter. Follow us at D1_Rejects, at Instagram at Division1 Rejects. And that's about it for our socials. Thank you so much for listening and making it this far. And really excited to continue getting some great guests on here. Stay tuned for later this week as we get on Mike Sullivan, a former sports radio personality from 97.1 The Ticket, and Zach Line, who is the Oxford High School head coach, but more notably played 7 seasons in the NFL with the New Orleans Saints and the Minnesota Vikings. Thank you for listening, Division I Rejects. Have a great rest of your week.